Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's your colleague over in the House. The way she frames this is she says Democrats created this mess, but Republicans don't have any solutions to fix the healthcare issue either. Is she someone that you could see yourself working with?
On what?
So that's pretty fun. See, that's charming, okay? Donald Trump could learn some lessons. And I think, look, it's a fair question for Kaitlan Collins to ask AOC that Marge has been trying to do all this rebranding recently, not in everything, but in some areas. And wouldn't it be interesting? Wouldn't it be fascinating if AOC were to team up with Marjorie Greene? And it's not impossible to imagine. I mean, Ro Khanna sort of teamed up with Marjorie Greene on trying to get the Epstein files to come out. And so maybe that could happen. Now, AOC also has a good point that like substantively, what do they actually cross over on? But maybe recently a possible topic has popped up. And we're gonna jump into that with a little bit more of that clip.
I think people can talk a good game, but until they actually support policy that helps people, I'm not particularly interested. But if she actually wants to support legislation and expanding healthcare, I've worked with plenty of Republicans as well on healthcare. In terms of bipartisan legislation on healthcare, I'm more than open to doing that. But it's not just about talking the talk, we gotta walk the walk.
And you would need to see her actually support something that you're behind in terms of legislation on healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the most reasonable thing in the world. And I think it's a good follow-on to what I was saying about Marge when we did our big analysis of all of the ways that she's diverging from Trump and the Republicans. I imagine AOC probably saw my show and that's why she said that. But anyway, Marge is saying, for instance, in really long tweets, we need to do something on healthcare. And you can say maybe one version of substance on that is that she seems to agree with extending the ACA subsidies. So that's good, that's talk and substance. Now, at the same time, she's fundamentally attacking Obamacare and would probably be a vote to destroy the entire thing. So that kind of undercuts it a little bit. But again, it's not just about saying like, housing is too expensive. What are you going to actually do about it? And there's a big gap between, it's super easy to tweet out problems that exist. And maybe the bar is so low that even just doing that gets you some positive press, as Marjorie's been getting. But what are you gonna actually do about it? Like, people think that Trump was a populist because, I don't know, he said something about healthcare. Well, it's now been nearly a decade, and where's his goddamn plan? Like, what is Marge's plan on healthcare? What is Marge's plan on healthcare costs, electricity, all of these things? And maybe she has it. Maybe substance will follow the commentary. But I think that AOC is right to be like, we should expect more than just a couple of good tweets. Now, before we jump into our back and forth about this, Bernie went perhaps a little bit further in giving Marge credit, further than AOC did, and perhaps further than I would have preferred him to, because he said one of the things that has concerned me, I'm not gonna do the full thing, that has concerned me very, very much is that we are seeing the Republican Party doing less of representing their districts and their states than just swearing allegiance to the president of the United States. And I think he's totally right about that. So I never thought that I would say this, but you have somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, you know what? I was elected by my constituents. That's who I am beholden to, not the president or the United States. So there are good Republicans out there, and I get the general point he's making. I do not like him declaring that she is a good Republican, because she is very much not good in a lot of different ways. And it is entirely possible that this rebranding she's doing just gets her into a slightly higher office, and then she never disagrees with Donald Trump or whoever ends up being the Republican president in the future. So I think Bernie's getting a little bit out over his skis. I like AOC's hesitancy a bit more, but Yaz, what do you make of it?
Yeah, so first of all, I will say, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is probably a little bit smarter than most of us give her credit for, as far as her willingness to play the game in politics, right? She says a lot of crazy things. I'm not defending anything that she said. I'm not defending her stances or anything like that, but I'm saying she has gotten to where she is in politics for a reason. I will say we are in a strange time right now as a nation, right? We're kind of in flux. We're heading into the midterms. That is a factor. But there's also the fact that Trump is likely how do you say it? He's not going to be around for much longer, right? There's that feeling that however this happens, he's not going to be around for much longer. So that begs the question, well, two questions really. What will become of the Republican Party? And then what does that mean for the Democrats? So they kind of have to be willing to work across the aisle because things are shifting, right? And we can feel it in the country. We can see the Democrats are making a lot of appearances on shows, not just like this town hall that Bernie and AOC did on CNN, but they're making appearances on various podcasts and different shows like that, trying to, I think, imitate or mimic what Trump and the Republicans were doing leading up to the 2024 election when they were hitting up all these like really popular podcasts, getting to the people directly where the people already are. For the Democrats, I don't think it's going nearly as well for them as it did for the Republicans, right? Because whenever they come on a leftist show, they're not getting teed up these softball questions the way that Theo Vaughn was giving questions to Donald Trump, right? It's just not the same ecosystem. It's not going to work the same way. So the Democrats, they're going to have a much harder time convincing people that, they should continue to stay in power. And then also with the Republicans, they're going to have to really think about their identity as a party without Donald Trump at the head of it anymore. Is that going to be JD Vance? Are people going to try and break away from Trumpism and from MAGA? Is that breakaway then going to be genuine? And is it going to be something that people can trust? Right now, I think that there is, with everything in flux, especially people on the left, whether you're a Democrat, liberal, leftist, however you identify, someone who didn't vote for Trump, basically, there is a lot of anger and distrust on the left at people who have voted for Trump in the past, right? Whether you voted once or twice or three times, there is some distrust there. Like, why did you do that? Why did he say all these things and you didn't have any problem with it? Why was it only a problem for you once it became a problem for you specifically, and not when it was affecting all these other people? So there's a lot of things that we have to grapple with. And on the left, we kind of have to deal with that. We have to figure out how to deal with it because moving forward, we are going to have to find a way to work with them. And I will say, for the leftists, right, for the progressive left, we have a really big opportunity in front of us because I can guarantee you, people who are leaving MAGA, who are waking up from whatever stupor they were in, who are looking for something, right? And I even feel bad saying that, but if you supported MAGA, if you supported Donald Trump, it's likely because your grocery bills were too high, things like that. And you wanted someone to come and help you and you were so frustrated with the establishment already. That is why we had so many people supporting Bernie Sanders leading up to that election. And then when he got knocked out by Hillary Clinton, then they jumped over to Donald Trump. They didn't go to Hillary Clinton, right? And I can guarantee you that a lot of the people who are going to be looking now for a new hero, they're not going to the Democrats. They're not looking to Chuck Schumer or Cory Booker or Hakeem Jeffries. They're looking at Bernie Sanders. They're watching things like his oligarchy tour, like that. Those are the people that they're listening to. And progressives, and I know it's difficult because we're the ones who are, probably the most critical of MAGA. I think this could be an opportunity.
Yeah. I think you've made a lot of good points there. I agree that some of them are having to sort of look ahead to what is going to become of the party after Donald Trump, thinking about the fact that he might not be long with us. And I think that a lot of people are thinking about that. I think we should think about that. I think that thinking a lot about that could help you get through this difficult time that he might not be around that long. I think about it for quite a while every day, actually. Politically, I mean. I think that strategically, I think it's a good thing to do.